Okay, it's good to see you guys. It's this is going to be a fun week, and reviewing just last week and all the prep that went into the game and seeing the team continue to believe and connect and grow. It's a good thing. A lot of respect for Coach Campbell, a lot of respect for Iowa State. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I know our coaches are continuing to push and really emphasize the me versus me. So competing against our standard, pushing the standard, being accountable to our standard is going to be a main theme moving forward. Any questions you guys have?
Yeah. Dave, considering how well you guys have played the first 3 games, you feel like you're ready to play a top 25 level team?
I wouldn't really put it in those terms. I would think of, I look at just getting better every day. I look at the confidence and just the growth and just in our guys on and off the field. I could go back to January and say that we want to be a team that's led by the offensive line, and I think in whatever room I would be in, right, I can see the looks on people's faces when I would say that, and now you can say that and you can see the looks on people's faces, right? And so I think there's a belief and confidence that's got to come before, and then there's a different belief and confidence that comes after. And I feel us as coaches continuing to push, the leadership council continuing to push, and really focus. The standard is what is our best, like the best we've ever done. Let's do that again and again and stack it day after day after day. So that's really the challenge.
Dave, there was a moment on Saturday where you could see you firing the guys up in the huddle on the sidelines, pushing some guys, and they were jumping around. What was your message to the team, and why then?
Well, the previous, I think it was the home game. I think I got headbutted, and I had a bit of I was fearful I was going to have a black eye, so I think I was kind of doing it from a distance this time. So you learn as you go. But I think, to have that time and to encourage guys and then really just get the juice for guys going. The timeouts are a thing. So like they're ready to go, and there's 3 minutes or two and a half minutes that you have to be able to use up, and so the coaching can take place for 40 seconds or so. Like, hey, remember this is what they did last time. And then after that, it's like, let's get it going. So it's fun to be able to jump into that. I think there's some colorful characters in that group.
Dave, with the offensive line, has that been a collective effort, or has there been one difference? What's been the key for that group?
I think belief, leadership. I think simple can be sophisticated. I think the focus on being really good at wide zone, and it's not so much what we do, but it's how we do it and the detail that goes into it and the teaching that goes into it. And then, the connection piece with the coaches and players that my coach really cares for me. He knows who I am outside of what I do as a player, and that drives what I do as a player. I think all of that is happening right now.
Dave, you guys had a couple more 4th down conversions in this game. 6 out of 7 on the year. You talked a little bit about it last week about how that opens up the playbook when you kind of think of 3rd down as 2 downs. Mm-hmm. Does it also give your team a psychological boost when you do go for it and you convert?
Yeah, and it could happen the other way too. I think a true test of a defense is when you've not quite hit the 50 and you go for it on 4th down and you don't get it, right? Is your readiness and your alertness and readiness on the sideline, and then how you take the field in that case. I think how you take it will say a whole lot about how you're coming off the field, And so I think the mindset that goes into that, and we talk about team, unit, me. Like that would be a great illustration of just team up front. It's like, I got your back, man. You be aggressive. Let's go. If it don't go, I got you. And so we talk about that quite a bit. And so I think there's that on one side. On the other side, it is the ability. I think there's a couple of those fourth down conversions throughout the year, whereas early in the game, we're in a drive and it kind of stalls. And, if it was last year or previous whatever, we would punt, and then who knows what happens when we convert, we end up scoring, and then there's a confidence that comes with that, and you take off from there. So it's an important mental piece.
The defense is doing some things that haven't been done in a while, yardage-wise. Are they playing at a level you'd like them to be at right now?
I think they're improving. I think there's a fair amount of playmakers there. I think the ability to play within the scheme and to play together, I think, is real critical. When you talk about, in my mind, so defense and offense, I think offense, we were just talking earlier about maybe not a lot of confidence, maybe the ability to kind of build it up, and man, I see you, right? I see what you're capable of, right? Let me give you the tools. Trust me. Together we can get there. And then I think on defense, where there's an element of like, I can do this by myself. I've had to do this by myself, right? All this is good. Let me at it, and it's softening up some of those harder edges and getting them a part of a team where you're playing within the scheme, right? And you're not trying to do too much. You're not trying to go above and beyond kind of what's required. Do your job and let the play come to you. I think there's different fights on different levels, and so that's the fight on defense. And I think there is progress made with that in this last one. I think this game coming up is going to be a big factor. How we play the game within the game of alignment, assignment, technique.
What's your assessment of Iowa State offensively, defensively, special teams?
It's great identity. There's no mistake on who they are and who they want to be. I think they play really hard. I think they're very physical. A lot of respect for their coaches, for who they are and what they do, and a physical team. It jumps off the screen when you watch it, right? Physical, big. In some ways, this is going to be an old school matchup. So, love old school matchups.
Dave, what do you see from the Purdy, Brees Hall, that combination?
Yeah, I think they've been productive, and I think with Purdy, it's going to be his ability to make plays when there's nothing there. We've used some Iowa State examples in the past to show the execution of scramble rules. They do a great job. I think, when things are not there, he's able to maneuver in the pocket, and receivers that are maybe running a shallow or a drag see it and then dart off. And he's able to capture them with linebackers and underneath defenders looking at the QB, and they're not staying matched on tight ends or receivers, and that has been kind of a calling card for him. I think his ability to scramble and fake pump guys and just all of it that goes with it, I think is a legitimate concern. And then I think with running back, just great patience, physicality. I think they're a wide zone team. Similar, there's some strong similarity in both offenses, ours and theirs. And he's got great patience. He can set stuff up and then accelerate quickly. So he's, he can carry a team.
Dave, on Apu, he missed the game, came back. Where is he physically as far as his conditioning? And sometimes people see him, they expect him to make a ton of plays, but he's also possibly taking people up.
Right.
Where is he right now?
Improving. I think conditioning, there's still room to improve. I think Chidi has come a long ways. He's a guy that's really put in a lot of effort and worked hard, and I think he's earned playing time. And so there's some playing time with him, partly because of what he's earned, and partly because rotation there right now best serves us. But then I also think with Apu, I think his ability to play bump combos. So say the offense is running inside zones. So as a defender, getting hands on a center, and then the guard is going to, from an adjacent side, is going to work to bump me, right? And so it's a downhill block for a downhill run that follows. I think our offense is a wide zone offense. We don't really rep that. We don't play that. Everything's going this way, And so I think at times Apu can kind of get in a track stance and his best version of that and get vertical and blow stuff up. Whereas when stuff's coming downhill at you, you've got to play with hands and a base and technique and all of it. And so I think coming to grips with that, coming to grips with low pad level and just fundamental things, play after play after play, and like we talked about earlier, playing within the scheme, playing within the confines of what we're asking, I think he will continue to have success and see more time.
What progress have you seen out of Gary Bohannon? Obviously, 3 games in as you're heading into Iowa State, the toughest opponent that you all haven't played with yet.
Gary's confidence, Gary's poise. I think his calm makes me calm. And so I think when you see him in there and the pocket's clean or the pocket's not clean, he looks the same. And handles all of that. And I think it's a good, it's kind of a good illustration, I think, for how you'd like for all of us to kind of go through stuff, right? He's able to kind of take it for what it is and not get too high or get too low and just be about the business. And I think our guys take confidence from that when they see that.
Gary's calm makes you more calm.
Yeah, there's still ways to go. Yeah.
I didn't know you could get more calm.
Yeah.
Dave, when defending a guy like Breece Hall, how important is it to control him at the point of attack and not allow him to regularly get to the second, third level of your defense?
Yeah, edges are way important. I think wide zone team, he wants to cut the ball back. He's going to be on tracks, and they want you running so that they can push you by and then they can cut it up. And then they've got the receivers do a good job of blocking. So this type of run, the path by the receivers off a run action could be a run or it could be, a deep pass, and it's going to look the same initially. Some of the same problems that our offense presents, and so where you start with that is edges, right? And then we were talking about Apu, you want push in the middle, and then you want downhill linebackers. And so defensively for them, they do a great job of that, right? You're talking about with their U player or their guy in the middle and their linebackers at 3.5 kind of getting vertical. And so I think for us it's going to be, in our own way, a similar challenge, and we're gonna accept it and do it.
Dave, Xavier Newman is a guy who came back for his 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
He's played a lot of positions on the line. How valuable has he been?
I love Zay. He's inspiring to me, and so just Howard, whatever number O-line coach, right? I think for him to open his heart, right, and not, it's easy, I think, when there's change and stuff to go, you know what, I'm just going to be all about the ball. I'm just going to be all about football. And, I'm not really going to hear this dude. I'm just going to do what I need to do. And I think, most folks would probably be inclined to do that. And Zay's a special guy, man. So great leader. Guys love him. He's playing his best football right now.
Coach, what do you expect out of the atmosphere on Saturday? First top 25 game in McLean.
Way excited. Yeah, way excited. I think it's going to be a big advantage for us. And I know, our staff and I know our players are excited about that as well. And so looking forward to putting our best product out there, but for the fan involvement and the crowd getting, it's, one thing that's very apparent just this early into the season is that home field advantage is back to being an advantage. And so look totally forward to taking advantage of that.
Dave, 3 games, 3 fumbles. Is ball security something you're kind of concerned about going into this week? And maybe what are some things you're doing to to rectify that?
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, very much so. I think the ability to play clean, and again, this goes back. This is one of the things I totally respect with Iowa State is that whether it's penalty wise, and I know they had a game 2 weeks ago where they were fighting it some too, but the ability to not turn the ball over, I think, is critical. So, no penalties, no turnovers. Don't beat yourself. When I think of that, I think of Iowa State. So we're making strides in that way. We're continuing to stress it and make a point of it. I think, we start our individual periods with either getting the ball out on defense or protecting the ball on offense. Wednesday is turnover Wednesday for the defense and no turnover Wednesday for the offense, and we continue to work the creating and not allowing turnovers on all the days, right? But make it a big factor on Wednesday. So we have to get better in that area.
Dave, did you see a light go on with Matt Jones in the spring, or how did he take that next step maybe?
Yeah, you could see just, Matt is someone where I think football is a language he understands. And so I think football comes easy to him. And so for him to kind of, and we still haven't to a degree, settled him down in one position. At least we've kind of narrowed it down to two. It's been more than that. But I think the ability to narrow that down and to get him focused on, hey, here's the key things, here's the main points, he can be as good as he wants to be. His instinct is very strong, and so I think, and his care factor is there, and so excited for him.
Hal Presley and Monterey Baldwin have both worked their way into the start of the 2D as true freshmen. What did they do to earn that?
I think they've shown maturity, and we keep challenging them to show more. That'd be on and off the field. So maturity with how they handle their day-to-day with class and integrity. Maturity with how they handle their academics, attendance and performance. And I think getting that part right drives the on-the-field part right, to where they can study their playbook, they can be accountable for the little things that we're asking them to do. And I think to this point they've been able to do that. And so we're entering, as far as in a freshman's world, we're entering the grind, of when we're doing this week over and over and over and over again. And so the ability to get better in that and to push themselves in that and not be a slave of that, I think is going to really be key for them.
With the expansion obviously of the Big 12, it's actually happening. Has there been more of a buzz from your recruits or any guys that you've had on campus that, knowing how strong the conference is and that you guys are at form?
Not to this point. I think, and I am excited about the additions, and when it was nice to have a 2:30 game because you could watch some of them play, and keep up with them, and so there is that piece. I think as far as recruit-wise, they're really kind of looking at, what is this going to be, this guy and this team and all that. What's this going to become? And so I think that's the main piece there. But I'm excited about the additions. I think it makes the conference strong.
Dave, you mentioned how physical Iowa State plays. Anything specifically on defense that they really do well?
Yeah, their D-line is very good. So they hit blocks. They're big. Their linebackers are big, physical dudes. I think bigger per the average linebacker in our league. And the way they play their scheme, coincides with that. And so there's a fair amount of times they'll be a typical linebacker is going to be 4.5 to 5 yards off the ball, where they're going to be a lot of times 3.5 yards off the ball. And because they play with an extra DB in the back, right over, usually he's over number 3. So if it's 2x2, he's over the back. If it's 3x1, he's over number 3. But the linebackers would be right in the middle, and they're shooting those those interior gaps and almost plug in, and so that safety that's sitting back there can clean it up. And so you have to, if you're running inside zone, you got to come off your doubles fast. If you're running gap schemes, there's a chance to get you have to fight against run-throughs. So they create a fair amount of problems for you. But I think, a lot of respect for Coach Heacock and that group. I think, they're innovators of that scheme, and they're darn good at it.
Then you got squirrels and carries late. How do you come out of it okay?
He's good, yeah. It was fun to see him, yeah. I think anytime he carries the ball, I think we get everyone on our sideline knows the squirrel's in, knows the squirrel's going to get the ball, and they're all holding their breath. Right now, for good things, when he gets it, to kind of see if he's going to, burst out with one. And so it was fun. I think the sideline was going crazy for him.
Last year, the run game was a little rough. 3 games in, you've already surpassed the total rushing yards from last season. What's the impact of this running back group, and what do you expect from them on Saturday?
Yeah, I think for the individual, for the player, it's confidence, and it's belief in themselves, and it's I think if you pull all the way back, it's like, hey man, whatever you put your mind to, you can do. And then I think within the football phase of it, it allows you to play complementary football, right? Get the run established, to have a play action pass that looks like it and put people in conflict. It gives you the ability to play all 4 downs, because you're talking about a 4th and 1 and a 4th and 2 as opposed to a 3rd and 13, And so I think it just gives you a more balanced, comprehensive approach to things. But I think seeing the confidence in the guys, the offensive line, and tight ends for that matter, and they've continued to improve as well, just blocking, and so long ways to go, but like what we've done so far.
It feels like y'all are really jumping into the grind of the Big 12 schedule right now. What kind of message have you given to your team, just knowing that there's not just Iowa State, but a lot of tough games coming up on the schedule? We
talk about pound the rock, and so you keep pounding. So whether this rock is something you want to break, man, and whether that rock, you're pounding away, and maybe there's chips flying off, or maybe it don't look like you've been pounding all day on that thing. Keep pounding, right? And then get your guy to the left and get the guy to the right. Keep pounding too, and then that rock's gonna break, right? And so I think like that, that stay in the process, stay in the moment, right? And be your best, be at our standard at all times.
Where'd you get that, pound the rock?
I don't know. I think some of the coaches I've talked to have mentioned that, and they've said that kind of in passing, and it just felt like process-wise that just fit everything we're doing. We've talked about like win with character, and there's times where you're in if you're in the 4th quarter and you make a tackle on the sideline, you're not going to go win with character, So you need something a little bit stronger, and so I just felt like the pound the rock really kind of fit everything we've been trying to be about.
Anything else? Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.